Hey there, everyone. Welcome back. I am Julie Galano, one of the co-founders of GME Compass, and hopefully you've seen our first two videos where you had an opportunity to meet both myself as well as Daphne. And today we're going to take some time and actually formally introduce our baby, which is GME Compass, to all of you, tell you a little bit about the journey of how we got here and what it means to us and what it looks like now and hopefully in the future.
And I'm Daphne Argueta, again, co-founder of GME Compass, where we turn the complexities of GME into clarity.
So GME Compass is something that, while it didn't have a name, it really has been something that's been evolving for probably about 3 or 4 years now.
Yes.
While we were, together and I was chair, you were vice chair in AtMog, we did a lot of work around creating operational systems and professional development and learning opportunities that were available for everyone within OBGYN, for all program managers. That was something that became really near and dear to our heart.
It
And
was.
we created some really great things, and it quickly, I feel like, became our passion that we just
Sure
fed
was.
off of each other. We created all kinds of things. We did a new a new program managers workshop. We intentionally made hybrid and primarily virtual, so that if you didn't have funding or access to funding to attend the conferences, you still had tools and technical skills training in the time of the academic year when they're actually happening. We created a formalized mentorship program where we had intentional matching, and we had a SOAP document where we actually had guided discussions for our mentors and our mentees so that they could be set up for success. We had a needs assessment program, and that had run through 3 iterations where we were starting to track and trend the data. We were doing some really great things while we were
Really
in
high level
AtMod,
things, yeah.
and it really became our passion projects. I don't think either one of us really knew that it was going to be when
Or that it was
we
gonna
started.
grow as much as it did, like, right? Or, but again, like to your point, it was the need. So like once we threw it out there, like it was like the thirst. It was like getting that cool drink of water that so many were looking for, and and it just even fueled our passion even more.
It did. It really did, because the as we started creating and doing these things, it just people kept coming. The
Asking for more.
compliments, the thank yous, asking for more, giving us different types of ideas or niches, or incorporating different topics or areas. The mentorship program, I feel like, really took off. That was something that was so successful and something that I was passionate in my own training program, and I did a lot of work in my own training program. So to get to do that and kind of visualize that and see you put that into fruition was something that was really fulfilling and meaningful for me.
And what was fulfilling and meaningful for me creating that program is, once you did make that match and you would get the thank you so much and I can't wait to connect. Or one of my favorites was is that I couldn't have been paired with the best person ever. And again, like it was just that just filled our cups, like, right, just to know that that people are getting the help or the guidance and the support that they need in OB/GYN program management. It was really wonderful, and it was so fulfilling.
It really was. And we had so many ideas, right? Like, what we want to take even further, as we start to think about, our focus was really on the new program managers workshop and the new program, like the mentorship for the new program managers. And of course we wanted to continue rolling that out and continue refining that. But then we started to put pieces of the puzzle together and think about our seasoned program managers and bringing scholarly activity into it and having like thoughtful academic conversations, and all of those types of things. We started, really laying that infrastructure. And I know for myself, I alluded to it a little bit in my Meet Julie episode, but I had been struggling for a really long time in my role. I kind of felt like a caterpillar kind of
Stuck.
growing out of my own skin, like coming out of the cocoon. And I felt like I had grown in, I grew in my position, and then I would find a way to create this system or I'd create this process, and I kind of grew in there. And I just was at a ceiling. It just was what it was, right? It was what it was. But I loved GME, and I always said throughout my conversations that I would never leave GME. And
I
I
remember
stand
telling
by that.
you several times.
Right, like GME is definitely, where my heart lies. And so then I found Atmog, right? So I was like, okay, so I'm gonna find growth somewhere else. And I found Atmog, and that's when I became a part of council. And I was the program planning chair and then the wellness chair, and that was new. So I got to create that. And then I became the chair, and that was a ceiling, right? But there was a lot of cool innovative things that I got to do. Like I standardized the job descriptions for the council members. I created a regular meeting structure with CREOG executive leadership and ACGME executive leadership for the chair and the chair emeritus, and things that didn't exist before, and really starting to kind of have tough conversations. But I almost felt like there was this like pinnacle where, I kind of felt like I was growing out of my skin, and then I found these external spaces for growth, and that started fulfilling me, and really that advocacy started really giving me energy and creating all of these opportunities for people that I care about so much, and that gave me energy. And then I started to feel like it started making me hyper aware of, my own mental health and my own burnout and what that looked like, and how that was transferring in my personal life and with my kids and everything. And I am a huge advocate for mental health. You'll hear that throughout some of my talks and everything. I actually already I have presented a few of them, but I I was in that moment preaching to my daughter about how it doesn't matter what she's doing, where she is in her life, in her activities, in her school, in her things. Nothing is ever more important than your internal and intrinsic happiness and peace. And I got to a point where I just had to admit that I have outgrown the space of the program level within myself for my own personal like satisfaction and fulfillment. So basically, I made a tough decision that I probably didn't see myself working at the program level anymore. And that was when one day I thought of one person only. I couldn't think of anybody else. But I literally made a cold call, and I picked up a friend, and I called my friend Daphne, and I was like, listen, I have an idea, and I know it's kind of crazy, but you're the only person I can think of. You are the only person I thought of, but let's create a YouTube channel. And
And
that's how we started.
and I gotta tell you, when I got that phone call, it was, it was like, this sounds very crazy, but this sounds very Daphne and Julie. Like, and it was really, yes, it was a very cold call, like, right? It was not
It was
something I was
totally a cool call.
expecting. At this point, like, at this point, I had already left OB-GYN, like, right? And, and was no longer vice chair. So getting this call was definitely, it was definitely, I felt like a calling because, I was in OB-GYN, I was vice chair along with you, and then ended up also moving on to as an institutional coordinator at another institution. And as much as I love the opportunity that I have now as an institutional coordinator to be able, to be now part of the full breadth or understand now the full breadth of GME, not just at the program level, but now at the institutional level and really getting the understanding of how everything works. But then now also too, as an institutional coordinator with the knowledge of a program manager, being able to now provide support to my coordinators when it comes to how to manage their programs as ACGME requirements are changing, as medical education is getting more innovative. Now we've got to incorporate AI and like all these things. So, but there was a part of me that was like, man, like, I missed I did miss my time in AppMog as a chair. And part of it was because of that, like you said, Julie, that connection with the GME community, with the OB-GYN program managers, being able to see them at conferences and have them talk about the new program manager workshop that we created, that, how helpful that is. Hey, here are some topics. Thank you so much for also for the mentorship program, that wellness talk that you did, having that connection or feeling that being able to give back, like, right, because at an institutional level, it is the level of support is definitely a lot different. So now being able to, through GME Compass and working together, being able to again continue that 2.0 work, saying our passion again has always been advocating for the program managers. My particular passion has always been with the new program coordinators, because I again been in this role for 13 years now, but yet I can still remember vividly the very first day that I sat on that chair and the very first decision that I had to make, and not knowing what was left, what was right, what was up, what was down. So, being able to be that support for program coordinators, and then through that work as vice chair, being able to provide not just professional development, but again, support. So again, getting this phone call was just like, yes, my work is not done. I knew my work was not done, and I knew our work was not done. And as we were building this, and we're doing our due diligence and things like that, and then seeing what the need is, again, it just strengthened the reason why we need to have GME Compass. It's not that, it's not a want anymore. It's a need, not for us, but it's a need for our GME community. So it really is a wonderful opportunity to be able to again be at the table, at this table. It's a different seat, but it's still equally as important. It still equally feels as powerful, if I want to say, to be able to be here with you all and be able to provide this knowledge, skill, support, and just really tell you how what GME is all about. Because I think that that's also important, Julie, and I think that that's also what makes GME Compass a little bit different and more unique. Is that we are here to tell you the real truth about GME, the good, the bad, the ugly. And as Julie has mentioned, this can at times, you get burned out, it can sometimes affect your mental health, but there's still something that makes us keep coming back. Like, right. But we're going to talk about that. We're not just going to talk about like, oh yeah, this is great and this is wonderful and this is how you're going to do this and it's going to be completely structured. This is how you're going to build your GME team and they're going to listen to you right away. Absolutely not. We're also going to
Mm-hmm.
have the conversations of, I'm saying I had an anxiety attack after an interview day. Absolutely. It happens. It happens to everyone. I missed a deadline before. We're going to have those conversations because, those are the conversations that sometimes people don't want to have because like, oh my gosh, that's embarrassing. No, we're going to have those conversations here. So again, I'm so thankful for that cold phone call. I was on my way to have brunch with my kids and literally I was, I'm on the phone and I'm like hitting my son and he's just like, what is going on? And I'm like, I don't know, but he goes, what are you starting now? And I'm like, yeah, I know, right? So, but it feels right. And everything about it feels right. The timing, the space, my partner in purpose, like it all feels like this is the time in order to do this. When I think about our time together, I feel like there was a couple of times while we were working together that almost GME Compass kind of happened organically, and it just makes me think that it wasn't that time, but this is the time.
100%. There were so many things, like moments where we're like, I wish we could do this. I wish we could do this. It would be great if we could do this. And I feel like here we are, right? Like, and I think that in a lot of ways, I would even argue that it is the opportunity for it feels almost more powerful and important because we know how successful we were before and how important and how helpful it was and the relationships and I can't stress enough that the relationships,
Oh my gosh.
the support and the empowerment that I felt from Creog and from so many of the leaders in OB at the national level, that's what kept me going for years, like literally years. Like that's what kept me pushing. That's what kept me kind of like afraid to push higher or in a different space or in another avenue because it just had such a special place in my heart. I just couldn't let go of it. I couldn't. I cared. I do care so deeply about it. And I feel like this is not letting that go. It's expanding it across, all the continuum of all specialties, of residencies, of fellowships, of subspecialties, of all of the things. And, we now kind of have that opportunity to create those pipelines and share, knowledge, resources, mentorship, community, collaboration, training, like in-person training, virtual training. And it really is kind of limitless on how we go and start and as we create this model and what it looks like and what it evolves into. I feel like the sky is the limit, and what makes it contagious is how much we care about it.
Yes. Yes. Like, if you, like in our videos, we talk about our families and how, how they fill our cup and how they make us smile. But I think right second to that is when we talk about GME Compass, or when we jump on a meeting and we're planning, and we're planning things and we're talking and we're like, and the ideas are flowing and like things like that. Like that is really what's, has kept me going the last few weeks as we're putting things together, because you can just imagine how much work it is to pull something together. So, and you start to wonder why, but then again you go on social media and you see like, hey, how do you do this? And what are people's thoughts about this? Is there any resources out for professional development out there? And it's just like, oh my gosh, okay, we get the message. We're working on it. And it's just like, we don't need sleep. Just like pump the caffeine in here because, I'm saying our people need us. And so, it really is, you know, overall GME Compass is already starting to feel rewarding. And this is, and this is just the very, very, very beginning. So I'm so grateful for this opportunity to be able to bring GME Compass to everyone.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I think it's going to be cool. I think most importantly, kind of I think as we wrap up and we close the video, I think my ask of the community is, of course, subscribe, like, share, comment, all of those things, right? Like,
All of those
but
things, please.
but at the same time, like, I also want you to comment or to send us
Yes.
an email or send us a DM, because we want to hear, like, we have all of these ideas that we have going, but we want to give the people what they want, right? Like,
Tell us
right?
what you
Like,
want. What is
we want to know is, tell us, like, is my forehead annoying? I don't know. Tell me.
that
Like,
light? Sometimes that light.
tell me, like, we love this Let's Talk series that's coming up, or, but like, or like, no, we don't really want that. We want more of the formalized things, or this is the topic, because just as much as we have these goals and we have these thoughts and we have these big ideas, we really need to hear from everyone to make sure that our finger is on the right pulse. So we want feedback, whether you email us, call us, DM us, whatever, leave comments. Please tell us, because I think that that's what is ultimately the most important, is that we address, this need and we help everyone out. And I've heard from so many of our colleagues where they were like, how do I get involved? How do I help you? Like, I want to do this, I want to talk on this,
I can
right?
talk about that. I know.
So
Which is also beautiful. Like,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
That just goes to show the collegiality that is within us, within our profession, as program managers in GME. But GME Compass was made for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, we know what it is to be program managers, but essentially we made this for you. So again, tell us what it is, what do you like, what you don't like. So again, we can keep evolving this to something that is going to be helpful for you.
Or like, what pearl or nugget that we said that kind of really gave you energy, because it might be higher or lower on the list of where we're tackling, and we might want to bump it up. Or is there a pearl that we didn't say? Just any feedback we would really appreciate, because I think that that's what's going to help everyone. And ultimately, like I said, a happy program coordinator, program manager helps and supports a happy program director. And that ultimately helps and supports happy trainees, happy programs, and that makes healthy patients.
Yeah. We don't want you to just survive. We want you to thrive.
100%. 100%. So that being said, welcome to GME Compass. I hope you all enjoy, kind of spending time with Daphne and I, and we hope to see you all again soon as we start really rolling into our curriculum and our formal presentations and our Let's Talk series.
Looking forward to seeing you guys.
Thank you all.
Bye.